Welcome to a snippet of Grandma Jane's Attic. I'm Devon.
And I'm Siobhan. On this episode, we are going to be answering yet another question. So, Devon, I'm going to throw it to you first. How do you buy yarn? Like, what is your motivation when you buy yarn?
Patterns. I tried to be a stash yarn buyer. Not there yet. I don't know if it's because I was thinking about why. I probably the best example is the last 3 projects I bought yarn personally. I bought the yarn for. I bought double what was needed. I don't know how. I don't know why. Don't know where my brain went. So now I actually have like stash yarn, and it's kind of fun to be able to play with it. But for me, I see a pattern or I see a kit, and that's what I shop for the yarn for. So even when I'm in a yarn shop and I'm just like, the worst for me, I will not buy something if I walk around a yarn shop aimlessly and there's not a pattern on the wall. I don't have this problem because there's hundreds of patterns that got released that I want to make, and I just like probably forget about them until you see the yarn but when I see yarn that I like, it's because, I have a pattern, and the next thing you know, I'm on Ravelry trying to find how much I need. But I buy for patterns. I don't know if I shouldn't say that. The only time I stash yarn is for when I make like the bulky weight hats, and I don't know if it's just because I know the yardage that I need. One skein makes the hat, so it's easy.
That's what I say. If it's just one skein, it's like, well, that's not that much damage.
Yeah, and I know I'll have enough. So maybe because I don't know how much I need for a sweater, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I truly don't know, but I buy for patterns.
Almost sounds like you're more of like a pattern stasher than a yarn stasher.
Ooh, I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
Well, just listening to you talk, I'm like, because I do the same thing. I have a lot of patterns either saved or I buy them because they're like on a discount. And I'm like, I totally want to make that one day.
Like the worst thing that happens is every week Lion Brand sends me hey, our kits are 30% off.
Yeah. Well, because
the yarn, it's good yarn at a good price, and they have everything Two of Wands puts out there, I make. Like this entire cabinet is half of her.
Yeah.
Love it. And it's always thicker yarn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fast projects.
Yep. Yeah.
So much. I have so much. I reorganized my yarn shelf, and I got rid of all the yarn that I didn't know what pattern I would use. I literally got rid of yarn for that, and I separated them by yarn weights. And then I realized I have an entire shelf of yarn that is already designated for patterns.
Wow.
So yeah, it's like I'm a pattern stasher. That's a great way to put that.
Yeah.
I think that's why I buy my yarn. What about you?
I was gonna say, I think I'm kind of turning into that. Like when I first got back into knitting, I got so excited about like supporting the smaller dyers, and like if I found a color I loved, I would just grab it and hope that I could find a pattern for it later. But like my husband built this desk for me for Christmas, and it has 4 huge compartments for yarn, and I'm like, I'm not going to use the majority of this yarn. And going to Rhinebeck this past year, I think that really I needed to be like, okay, I have a budget. I'm only going to buy the things that I need. And I stuck to it. And I feel like I've used the yarn that I actually bought, and I can give real reviews of what I think of these dyers and how I like their yarn, and actually see it be worn versus sitting somewhere in a shelf, And just like you, this year at Rhinebeck, I bought so many bulky skeins of random colors that I think would be fine in hats, because I can buy a skein of yarn and I can make a hat. And I can do that if I'm sick of doing whatever I'm working on now, or if I need a palette cleanser,
It's funny how I went from a bulky weight knitter to stasher. So when I was at Rhinebeck, the only kind of stash yarn I bought was sock yarn, because I know one thing can make me a sock. I have a half a sock done.
Yeah.
Since right. I'm going to be a sock knitter. I literally have 3 skeins of yarn for those socks that I may knit.
Yeah.
But it has to be a 1 skein project, or I just need to learn more about yardage to know, like, okay, if I buy 1,200 yarn socks, because people are like, oh, I bought a sweater quantities worth. I'm like, how do you know what that is? How do you know?
I know. I'm like, maybe 4 or 5 skeins. That should be enough, right? But that's a lot. That's a big investment for a lot of people to buy that much yarn and not know what you're going to do with it.
Yes,
at least in my mind.
Yeah, that's why if I'm spending my money, I won't. I know what I'm spending it on.
Yeah,
and it's not yarn that I don't have a purpose for.
it's for a project.
Yeah, I may never do that project. We'll be real honest here, but I bought yarn for it.
Yep.
I stopped buying yarn. Like now, if I'm serious, I buy the pattern first.
Yes.
Buying the pattern, I've stopped doing that. I at least buy the pattern so it's in my Ravelry library, and when I'm in a yarn shop, just like, this is pretty yarn. What do I have? Because Ravelry is really great about putting, I have this yarn at this weight. What can I make?
Yeah.
You know, but even how much yardage you think you have too. It's phenomenal filtering that they have.
Yeah.
And that's what in yarn shops. So,
yeah. And I think we did that. What were we? We were shopping for something, but we were like, okay, this is the yarn that's in front of me. Like, what can I make with this? And even being on Ravelry, there's just too many options to choose like one thing. I think I was searching for a cardigan for the longest time. I needed the perfect cardigan. And then Wool and Pine came out with one. I was like, that's it. And I bought the pattern and then I got the yarn, you know, and I think I feel so much better doing it that way now.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless there's a yarn that I'm like, I'm buying you for something.
Yeah. If it comes in a kit, usually at this point.
I'm a kit. Yeah. Like even this
is
this from Andrea Mowry, the shift cowl.
Yep.
Bought it in a kit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too easy though.
Nitpick. And it's made with the yarn she suggested. So this was an inexpensive kit, but I bought it as a kit because I thought these yarns were pretty. Yeah. And for me, sometimes the kits take the overwhelming, oh my God, what should I pick? Will these colors really look, you know, that kind of stuff. Most things I buy as a kit.
Yeah. It just makes it easier, like you were saying. Takes the guesswork out of it.
Unless I have, because I will say shopping for the bouquet sweater consent was a little overwhelming at first. Yeah. Until I saw the color that I wanted.
Yeah. See, I think that's the thing.
I buy kits. That's what I guess like my thing is. Kits offline. 100% buying a kit online because I want to know what the yarn feels like. I want to see it. I want to see the colors together. And
it's hard. I can picture a pattern in a specific color, and when I can, I'm ready, you know. Yep. And I think I'm finally getting to the place now with my knitting where I realize what fibers are better for different types of projects.
Or at least I know what the fabric it will create will be.
Yes, exactly. So that's why. So right now I'm working on the deep winter coat from Wool and Pine, and I knew I wanted to use Malabrigo Rios because that's what I used in my bouquet sweater, and it's thick, but it's like cozy without being overbearing. And I think it has a good drape to it. It's kind of heavy, so I think it would really lend itself well to the cables. And I am thrilled with how it's working. And I'm holding it double. Like this is technically a bulky weight sweater, but with worsted weight held double. And it's just, I'm very happy that I picked that. And it's funny because they gave a few different options of the yarns that they would suggest based on like your budget, you know. And I was thinking, I'm like, Malabrigo would 100% be on that list, and they didn't. So I was like interested, but I felt confident enough that I could, if I found the right color, and I did, that it would work out. So
nice.
Yeah. I love yarn. I love buying yarn. It's its own hobby, you know.
It is.
We would love to know what your yarn buying habits are, what motivates you to buy yarn.
Especially if you're a stasher. I want to know how. How?
What's your motivation behind it?
Different than mine, I guess.
Yeah, we like to learn.
Yeah, like, do you just know, okay, I'm X amount and this is a sweater quantity, and therefore just explain your thought process.
Well, I'm just going to make an assumption really quick so correct me, y'all, if I'm wrong. But like you end up buying more yarn than you think you actually need. And
I can't,
now, yeah. But I feel like that's kind of your way of being a stasher, like you have so much in your stash that's left over yarn. Is that what stashers do?
Yeah, I guess maybe because and I don't use my leftovers because I don't know what to do with them. Unless I get lucky because the pattern's like, 100 yards. I'm like, oh crap, definitely got that covered. I don't have a sweater's quantity of spare yarn.
Yeah, I think that's and right now I'm really big
and they're all varying sizes. Like, I don't only make DK sweaters.
Yeah.
I'm random.
Yeah.
A scrappy sweater is probably what I would need to work on, but that's so.
You don't want to do the sea glass sweater with me? I'm not even at the sleeve separation yet. I've been working on this forever, but I will say on that, I have different size yarns. I don't care. It's going to feel funny in some places, but because it's 1 by 1, I feel like it kind of evens itself out. Like if I do a worsted weight with a fingering weight, 1 row, and then the next row I use a DK and a DK, it almost evens itself out.
Guess we'll find out.
We're going to find out maybe in a few years if I ever finish it. We'll see. That's how I use my scraps, and I still have more. So this is a good one. This is a good little question, I think. Cool.
It was.
Well.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. And if you guys have a question that you want us to answer, drop it below. Like and subscribe to our channel.
Find us on Instagram.
Yeah, find us on Instagram, Grandma Jane's Attic.
And Pearls and Pothos.
See you guys.
Bye.